We've had to effectively demolish one side. If you remember when you went there, the boxes.
Yes. Oh, yes.
On the boxes have now gone, and there is a new stand being built on what was the old stand, the Bobbers stand, which I used to stand on in the early days of going there. That's all going on. We've had to put up new floodlight pylons because ours weren't strong enough for media. We've had to put in, or are having to put in, huge media facilities. I think we've got to have 50 cameras,
yes.
a room for 50 fixed camera positions,
yeah.
which, if you can imagine, in Kenilworth Road is about the whole stadium, you know. And of course, all the rooms for, the trucks and everything that come with it.
Of course.
But we're doing it. And at the moment, last I heard, I don't work full time at the club. And actually, it's funny that I'm sort of non-exec chair.
Right.
But I'm still feeling a little bit, it's a little bit surreal to me still that we're where we are. And every time you do something, you get a bit closer to it. We had Gary Sweet, the CEO, and myself went to the Premier League AGM a couple of weeks back, which was, you know, a different world. And we're sat in between Man City and Liverpool, which, you know, is so I think their comment was, well, it's nice to split them up for a change because there aren't many teams that begin in LU because it's all alphabetical.
Leeds United, and they're no longer. Exactly.
They're LE.
Yeah, well, I was just in the LUFC business, but look,
That's
I mean,
right.
listen, you are there on merit, and don't forget it, you know, and it's been an incredible story,
Yeah.
and for me, who remembers your great teams, and they were great teams, top six, just before the advent of the Premier League. League Cup winners, Brian Steen, Ricky Hill, David Moss, Mal Donaghy. The other one.
Further back, Graham French, Billy Bingham, Malcolm MacDonald.
Malcolm MacDonald.
Yeah,
Bruce
back in
Rioch.
71. Bruce Rioch.
Isn't it marvellous? Sound like Ron Manager, isn't it? But this, I mean, you know, because Luton's downfall was spectacular, and you know there have been some relegations through the years. I mean, there's Wolves went all the way down and came back, and look, I mean, they're a not dissimilar story to yours, but not quite as dramatic. Their fall and rise took about 20-ish years, and sometimes a bit longer. Yours has been sort of completed in about 15 years.
I think it's yeah. Well, it was
just how did this happen?
We took Gary Sweet, who is our chief exec and brilliantly runs the club, put together a plan 15 years ago, and he sold that plan to a bunch of local fans with a bit of money, which I was one of.
Right.
There were 5 originally, and we agreed to back his plan. And the plan basically was get to the championship by 2020 and build a new stadium. Instead of which, we got to the championship early, and we haven't yet built a new stadium because everything changed, you know, Brexit and COVID and everything else delayed things. But instead of which, we've managed to get to the Premier League, which is now going to help us and the town develop what we want to develop.
I'm going to take a word which once existed in the English language, which hasn't been uttered for about 25 years. I'm going to bring it back, there was this bloke called David Kohler who wanted to invent something called the Kohler Dome. It was going to be Milton Keynes, so of course the Dons have beaten you to that. Where will Luton's new stadium be?
It's going to be a place called Power Court, which is right in the middle of town. We were insistent.
Right, wow. What, by the Arndale?
It's basically between the Arndale and the railway.
Amazing. I didn't realise there was any space.
And in front of St Mary's Church, if you know where that is.
Amazing. Don't pull the church down.
And it's a major development, including apartments and all sorts of stuff. And of course, this promotion helps us get there.
I tell you what, David.
But of course, what happened we didn't deserve to go down into the conference, but we were demoted by basically 40-point deductions over 2 seasons, which were other people. It wasn't us. It was before we took over. And in fact, being in the conference probably cost us more money than anything else has cost over that time.
But Luton were the big dogs of non-league football. I mean, what were your attendances like in those darkest days?
They stood up quite well.
Yeah.
We didn't often go below 5,000.
That's incredible.
And we can't go above 10. So, it is odd. But then the fans stuck with us once they realised. Initially it wasn't easy because the fans like us didn't believe we should have been where we were.
No.
And it took a while for them to become realistic and accept the fact. Once they did, it was almost one-way traffic.
Now there is a club similar to you in the Premier League, and they've come up and down, and they're back again now, and they've had a really, really good season. For some reason, they sacked their manager, even though he produced miracles towards the end. Gary Neal at Bournemouth. Now,
yes.
From memory, Bournemouth, which has a small ground, although a very nice modern ground after several years in the top flight. Television is responsible for like 96% of their revenue, and that'll be the same for you guys, as well. But you're going to be in massive profit here this season, and of course, heaven forfend, I don't want you to go down. I want you to finish 4th bottom, 8th bottom, or mid-table.
We're not going to be in profit because
you're not going to be. You're going to invest in players, or
you've got to do everything. We've got to invest. We're having to spend quite a lot of money on Kenilworth Road to make it fit.
How much are you spending on Kenilworth?
The last it's about 12 million.
Right.
To make it fit for purpose.
Wow. Okay. Keep the
and
Eric
we're
Morecambe
doing
Lounge.
a lot of work on. Well, there's no room there for hospitality or anything either.
So no Eric Morecambe Arch.
No, the Eric Morecambe room will stay there. That's our biggest hospitality piece, and that'll stay. But we need more.
I'm just going to pay tribute to him just for a moment because he is your most lovely fan, and God rest his soul. Wonderful, the heartbeat. Luton is just one of those extraordinary towns that should be a boom town. It's got a fantastic airport. It's got all the motorways leading around it and to it.
Yep.
Luton Town, as a football club, can be the greatest cultural ambassador for the football club to improve the area around it. You're talking about sort of a major development in the town centre, etc. We've seen other clubs who are not dissimilar to yours achieve great things, and I'm thinking about Brentford and Brighton and Hove Albion. You only have to hop down the Westway, the M4 elevated section, to see the remarkable rise of Brentford in that area, which is, all of it looks about 5 years old. It looks absolutely incredible. Yes. And you can bring that economic advancement to Luton, can't you? It can be the catalyst to...
It's massive.
It's billions of pounds of regeneration could be produced, couldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's great for the club, but it's greater for the town.
Yeah.
And as you say, the town's got everything, but it is it's a northern town in the south.
That's so funny.
It has been a bit. It's sort of an industrial town, which is slightly out of place. It's surrounded by, expensive. I think where I live, Harpenden, been voted the nicest place to live in the country, and it's 6 miles from Luton. And it's crazy, and it's probably the most expensive place as well.
Yeah.
And it's nonsense that Luton is where it is. It will improve, and this will make a huge difference to the town. Huge.
So you're spending £12 million on making the stadium well with 50 cameras. The away supporters will be restricted even more. I'm delighted that the Eric Morecambe room continues, even if it has to be a little corridor. But my question to you is, how much are you going to spend on players, and who's going to come to Luton Town?
Well, we've already signed. I'm not going to tell you how much we're spending because that would be. But we've already signed 2 good players. We're happy with that. The
who are
Chidozie, my name, Mads Anderson from Barnsley,
right,
and Chidozie from I can never get the name. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
From Rotherham.
Right. And you had a boy there as well, a player I know well, Marvellous Nakamba of Aston Villa.
Marvellous, yes.
He'd be a signing for you boys, wouldn't he?
He was on loan.
Yeah, I know, yes.
And he's gone back to Aston Villa. But the recruitment is proceeding, and I think the recruitment team are happy that we're going to be in reasonably good shape by the time we get to the season.
And you need a keeper as well, don't you?
We do. One or two, yeah.
One or two. Yeah, you need...
They normally have three, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. How many... I mean, you have three keepers, don't you, already? I mean, just maybe they're not Premier League level.
Well, most of them, a couple of them were out on loan last season.
Right,
one of them's gone now. Marius is gone to Charlton, I think.
Yes. I'll tell you something about goalkeepers when you try and sign them from the SPL and various other lower league goalkeepers. Craig Gordon, who cost Sunderland £9 million from, I think, Celtic. Right. Now, you wouldn't necessarily think that was a jump up. It might be a step sideward. But Craig Gordon made this extraordinary comment. He got in goal for Sunderland, who obviously were the sort of wrong end. I don't say obviously, they weren't always there, but usually they got relegated, didn't they? But he said, when I got to... The thing that most surprised me at Sunderland was that the Premier League strikers hit the ball harder than they do in Scotland. Like, they're stronger. So that's the thing. You've got to sign number 2s and number 3s from other Premier League clubs, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The gap is massive, isn't it? In certain...
The name I couldn't think of is Ogbenny, by the way.
Ogbenny, OK.
Daisy Ogbenny.
OK.
And I apologise to him.
Very good. So is much of your recruitment going to come in from other European leagues and other Premier League clubs? I mean, you can't really look too far down the divisions, can you, with that strength thing, that fitness thing that I'm talking about that Craig Gordon mentioned?
Well, the policy of the club when we started the rise was to recruit well and to spend money on recruitment and coaching, so that we could make the players that we can afford better and develop the thing better than we would otherwise, and to work as a team. I think that, one of the things that often difficult is when you're at the top level, bringing in expensive players to fit them in sometimes doesn't work that well. And so we've always worked at trying to find raw material, if you like, and make it work. And I think that will continue. To some extent, we'll probably look into the loan market.
Yeah.
But it's too early to be certain as to which way that'll go. I think at the moment, from what I hear, we're doing okay. But it's much more difficult. The higher you go, the more difficult it is.
Indeed. So August the 19th, and talking of when you started to support Luton in the late 50s, here's a retro fixture from that era. Luton Town against Burnley. There's a game. There's a game to wet your whistle. Burnley were the champions in 1916. You were probably quite good then as well, cup finalists.
My first game was West Ham.
Was it?
Nick Owens was Leeds and mine was West Ham.
Right.
And we won 4-1, 1958. And it put us third in the first division then.
There you go.
But it was early in the season.
It doesn't matter. You were third. Doesn't matter. Just hang in there. But we're talking about a kind of bit of a race against time there, sort of to get the stadium fit and ready. You're ready, aren't you, to host the game against Burnley at Kenilworth Road, right?
I think we will be ready. We're ahead of schedule.
Good. But
that's as far as I know. We have permission if we need to rearrange it.
With the game, would you just have games postponed, or would you actually go and play at, I don't know, Watford, God forbid?
No, we wouldn't do that. No.
Never.
We got approval for the first game to be away.
Okay.
And the possibility of the second, if we need to be rearranged.
Okay, so a baptism of fire.
They've been very helpful, and Premier League has been very helpful with the changes we're making.
I'm really pleased to hear that, because a few years ago they started penalising sort of clubs coming up from the conference, the National League, saying that your stadia weren't fit for the Football League. But I'm really pleased that...
Well, they come in very early. I mean, they were in the club in January.
Oh, really?
Any club that was was in the sort of danger of being in the playoffs was looked at.
Oh, right.
And they come and say, well, your floodlights aren't strong enough, and you need this and you need that, and that there's all sorts of extra media requirements, which we wouldn't have had in the Championship. And of course, you've got, apart from the 50 cameras for media, you've got VAR and all those things that need to be done. So they come in very early and tell you what you've got to do. And of course, we had it last year because we were in the playoffs last year. So we had a clue as to what was going to be required this year. So it's been helpful. And they've been helpful all the way through, actually. They bring their various groups to the club and help you organise yourself for the Premier League.
Well, David, if to all listeners and viewers, if you don't adopt Luton Town as your second team next season, you haven't got a heart. This is just a tremendous story, and I'm wishing you every success, even though we're playing you home and away this season. Me being an Aston Villa supporter.
Oh, wonderful!
Thank you.
One of my favourite grounds. We haven't been there for years.
Oh, I know, and you were always good coming to Villa Park when we were in the same league.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be marvellous, isn't it? Marvellous Nakamba. Yep. Absolutely. Hey,
he
Dave,
is too.
He was a really big, very important player for Luton Town last season.
He certainly was.
David Wilkinson, hey, thank you very, very much for such an upbeat and honest analysis. I love that conversation. Did you? 03444991000. Please send your good wishes to Luton Town via text at 87222.